My name is Waldron, and this is my partner in crime, Sansbury. And between the two of us, we can say we have about 60 years of experience teaching swimming, everything from bubble blowers to like national qualifiers and whatnot. And so, you know, we're here together. Something inspired us to be drawn to this wonderful program. I know with me, about 6 or 7, I can't remember how long ago, Elise was swimming with me in a master's program I was coaching, and she came in one morning in her PJs. She just kind of walked by and she stopped. She goes, "Patty, I want to teach 100 women how to do a triathlon." I said, "Oh, you do? Okay. When you figure that out, I want to help you." And about 20 of our other talented friends said the same thing. And so hence, you know, the first group of mentors and like trying to figure out, well, what are we doing and how does it work and all that stuff, and you know, to where it's evolved today, which I think this is the smartest thing we've ever done, is to teach a group of people to teach them how to do beginning swimming. Because beginning swimming is a very, especially teaching adults, is a very unique thing. I think the adult population in terms of learning how to swim is a very neglected population. And you know, as adults ourselves, life is so busy, and finally we've managed to carve a little piece of it for you. You know, it's not all about your husband or your extended family or whatever. We've got this little piece, and it's so nice that you're contributing to this effort, because obviously this experience meant something to you, and it means something big time to me, and I love it, and I will be a part of it as long as possible. So, you know, when we first approach our athletes, we have to understand the background that they come from. And all of us came from different backgrounds. And, you know, if you're an adult, if you're somewhere between like 24, I think the oldest athlete by age, not by heart for sure, was 64 years young. And I haven't learned to swim yet, it's pretty freaking terrifying. You're old enough to know that can be deep, it can get over your head, people drown. It's a very intimidating place to be. This is the hardest skill to get down. One of the other things, like running, I mean, we've all been chased. We've all chased people. We've, you know, gone to grammar school, we've run around the playground. I mean, running is somewhat natural. You know, somebody's going to threaten you, you're going to run from them. You know, it's pretty natural. Riding a bike is usually something we all get a little experience doing and stuff, but swimming not. It's not always very accessible to people, whether it's the area you grow up in. I mean, some areas don't have pools. Some areas, if there's a lake, your parents are like, "You're not going near that lake. You don't know how to swim." You know, there's layers of fear. Fear is very, very real. I don't know if any of you are afraid of something. I was afraid of heights, and I didn't exactly know it until I was on a car date with who's eventually going to be my husband. We were just on a car date, and we were climbing Stone Mountain, North Carolina, which is 695 feet of friction climbing. And he left me on a tree at about 400 feet, and I couldn't see him because the rock goes like that, and so can't see it. It's a 4-pitch climb, and you have to set protection. One guy goes up, turns around, gets the next guy up, turns around, gets anyways. So I'm saying, on this tree, just, you know, confronting my fear. And so I understand that there's fear, and we have to understand that and respect it. And that's our job, is to kind of alleviate that fear with these new students that we've got. So just understand, have they been around water, not been around water? You know, some people you have to teach how to stand up in the water. I mean, one of the biggest fears of people who don't know how to swim is not being able to stand up. And when you get on horizontal, and they're like, well, how am I going to stand up? I mean, that's a fear. You have to coach that. You have to coach knees to the belly, stomp your feet. I mean, I've learned that. I teach a couple of Indian ladies on Tuesday, Thursday. They have taught me so much about teaching fearful people and what they really need to know to become unfearful. So standing up gives them a lot of confidence. Being able to stand up, like if they had their hands on my shoulders and I got pulled off the wall and you're just kicking, you know, you teach them a lot like you would see a little kid swim lesson. And, you know, but then you have to coach them, okay? to the belly, stomp your feet. And once they stand up, they're like, oh, this is a little bit better. So just understand that the learning window for swimming really is like 3 to 8 years of age. So these people we're working with, they're a little far away from their window. Okay, so we have to be very patient with them. We have to make them understand that they're not stupid. Swimming is not natural. You have to learn how to swim. Now, it's not like a kid going to a litter box, okay, at all. And it's not microwavable. It takes a lot of patience and time, and you have to really make sure they don't feel like they have to learn it all at once. You know, my dad, when he got to be really old, got to be 90 and stuff, he said to me one day, just not as fast as I used to be, you know, doing something. I said, well, Dad, do you have a timeline? He's like, no. I said, well, are you still doing it? He goes, yeah. I said, well, then you don't have anything to complain or worry about. He thought about it, he just smiled. And so, you know, we just have to make sure that they understand we've got time to learn this, and now is the time to do it. I think, too, by the way we teach them, we'll teach in very progressive, connected learning blocks. Like each skill connects to the next, and it'll start to make sense. Like, you know, when you think about you watch somebody swim, you think, well, I don't know how to do that, how do I do that? You don't even know where to start, so we're going to start them off the right way. So, just an overview of freestyle. Freestyle is the stroke most predominantly used in triathlon, but with the Try It for Life ladies, we're going to teach them what it takes to get through their first triathlon. That's what we got to remember. Not everybody's going to come through the swim course and swim the whole thing freestyle. You know, that would be nice. You know, there are some that will get it. And what's really cool about it, though, because, you know, when I've taught people to swim, it's kind of like the first year you're learning, and I don't know your personal experience, but it's almost like you gather all these tools, and you put them in a toolbox, and the second year, you really start to get a little more confident, a little bit better at your skills, and we have 12 weeks. So we have to teach certain things to help get them through that swim, because that is our goal, is to see every darn one of them cross the finish line, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. I can remember one of the best sessions we had at Mackin, and we did 250 meters, meaning you had less walls to hang out on and rest. And we had about 35 to 40 that night, and it was kind of the end of our sessions there. So we were all swimming 250 meters, we lined them up, and we taught them how to get the line lines, all stuff. So everybody takes off. Well, this one lady, it took her, it was 25 or 27 minutes to do it. And there was some in the front, took them, you know, 6, 7, and they all stood at that ladder waiting. That's why I love this group. They all stood there. Nobody was leaving, nobody was cold, nobody was complaining. Everybody was watching, encouraging, sending good vibes, clapping. And I'm with this lady, giving her some little hits as we go. And it was so funny when we finished, and she touched the wall. She stood up, you could tell she was crying. And this is one of the ones that said at the beginning, when I first met her, that there are layers of fear here. And meaning, my mama told me never to go into the water. Her mama told her never to go to the water. Me too. You know, it was just like water was not in our family. You know, and she completed 250 meters. She was standing there crying. Everybody's clapping. You kind of stupid. It's such a blood finish, you know. And then she just turned to me and goes, "Now, Pat, who's going to drink me?" That was the best part of it. That was so cool. That was so cool. So we're talking about freestyle, and there's a couple ways to do it. There's kind of traditional freestyle, which if you're in a certain age group, that's probably how you were taught. You were taught to have high elbows on the exit. You were taught to enter your hand probably inside here, like almost in front of your nose. You were taught to stretch, catch, sweep, sweep. That's pretty darn complicated. Okay, there's a newer version, and it's kind of neat because being a swim coach, Mary and I, our whole lives, we've seen the strokes evolve. And freestyle really hadn't changed that much for a long time. Well, now there's another option, and honestly, I think it's an easier option, and I'm going to explain why. It's called the open style freestyle. Some people may call it the straight arm freestyle, which is totally incorrect. It may look like that, but it is not that. If you end up swimming with straight arm, you're not going to have a very good stroke. With the open style freestyle, your hand exits first, and you make it kind of like this rainbow action, okay? like if you can imagine, I'm in a horizontal plane, and my hand has come out here. It kind of looks like a rainbow. Once my hand gets to past 12 o'clock, though, I'm going to pinch. I'm going to put my hand in like this. So if you took a snapshot here, you wouldn't know, did I get there by doing this? Or did I get there by doing this? Now, people who are tight up here, this tends to be a little bit more user-friendly. I think, you know, I'm not a doctor, some of you guys out here are in the medical field, and you can add to this, but this is an observation. This is more friendly than for a lot of people. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so once you get past 12 o'clock, you're going to put your hand in front of your shoulder. Old school is in here. New school here. Now, the greatest thing is that by doing this action, your entry point is going to be where your hand would have been if you entered the instruction. You're there already. So all you got to do is push straight back. It's more simple. I think there's more connection of the catching part. There's less deceleration between catches. Put your hands on here like this. You're in the front quadrant of your body. This is open style freestyle. This is more traditional freestyle like this. Okay? And I think there's some deceleration going on. I think by having the front quadrant, it elevates the body more and it gives you a better body position. Okay? So that's kind of the skinny on old school, new school. And even if you have old school freestyle, really the couple things I would just change. I mean, whether your hand comes out or your elbow comes out is not as important as to where it goes in. It needs to go in front of the shoulder, not here, and then push it straight back. So I think there's a hybrid of the two out there too. That's out there. The number one reason why people don't swim is they don't know how to breathe. You know, some people think, well, I can get in there and swim, I can get in there, and their head's above the water, and they vertically make their way to the other end and they're dead. That's not fun swimming. Vertical swimming is not fun. It's very inefficient too. So, but it's the breathing. How many of you went through the stage when I don't really know what to do in my air? Anybody in here? Okay, and once you got that, it changed your whole complexion of swimming, didn't it? Once you knew how to manage your air. I call myself an airflow management expert. Because not everybody knows how to teach it. Or not a lot of people are interested in teaching it. They're like, why? Well, when you get to be 51 years old, which I am today, 51 years old. Thank you. I guess it's been great so far. I know, I told my husband, he's like, I get to go swimming for 3 hours today. That's a great way to spend it. And then I'm going to go drink some beer. But managing your air, okay? And so I'm going to tell you the biggest secret out there, the release that will open up new world. Because I've gotten people from other programs who swim pretty good, but they're like, I'm so winded, I'm so winded, I'm so winded. And I find out, well, you're not managing your airway. The biggest secret is the air is always moving, it never sits. It's either moving in or out. Lots of people try to hold their breath. And what happens to you is you eventually go into oxygen debt, where there's not enough blood in your bloodstream, you get dizzy, you're huffing and puffing, you're uncomfortable, and you're like, swimming is not for me, it's horrible. Why would anybody want to do this? But then once you learn how to manage your air, and you're in this wonderful place that gravity has no control, it's awesome. It's awesome. So we need to keep it really simple. That's the simplest goal. And there's a couple really good things about working with adults. I mentioned kind of the negative about the swimming windows closed a little bit. You've got to force the window open, but they can cognitively understand that. They're like, okay, now how do we do it? You have to explain that every breath is a maximal inhalation. You're going to have people who cheat breathe. You know, you watch them breathe, they go like this. You know, kind of like they're sitting around their computer. You know, you're doing a physical activity, people. You need air. Your muscles need air. I always compare it to a mom, like lots of, these ladies will blow up balloons for their kids' party. You're ready for your ears to pop and all that stuff, but it's that big of a breath. The tricky part, guys, which some of you have learned, is getting it out. People like to hoard their air. They're air hoarders. They don't like to let it all out. And they don't understand the timing of letting it all out. Breathing correctly in swimming is very rhythmical. And that's why when we teach people to swim, we're going to teach them to breathe to both sides. We're going to teach them to breathe every third stroke so they develop a rhythm. And really, when you train, the best way to train is bilaterally. Now, when you race, it can be something different. Here's why I don't like single-sided breathers. You go like this. You breathe, you go flat. You breathe, you go flat. This arm starts going over here. You know, and if you were in a lake, you would end up over there birdsong. You would not be at the Johnson line anymore. You'd be over there birdsong. Okay? The hand placement gets crazy. You start to drop your elbow. You can get inflammation here like the bicep tendon, cause yourself some injury. When you swim freestyle, you swim it on what's called a horizontal axis, okay, which is this. And there should be perpetual motion with your body. Like when I teach swimming, I like to look from the body out. Okay, first of all, you have to watch how does the body lay in the water. Okay, you want the body to lay like if I was at relaxed attention, push myself over. Okay, old school we were taught you can see where you're going. Keep the water right here. Your neck is like this. I cannot believe how much I've swum with my neck like this until I learned correct body posture in the water. You want your head connected. Like if I x-rayed your spine, I don't want to see this at your head. It's got to be straight. Now with your head in that position, you just use your eyes and you look 2 to 3 feet in front of you. You don't need to see all the way to the other end. So what? The other end's down there. It's not moving. And on the lake, you're not going to see more than 6 inches in front of you. You know? So it doesn't matter. But what matters is the correct body position. And always know if the head is up, where's the fanny going to be? Down. So you really have to keep that head down because you want to be on the horizontal axis, so we want to be on top of the water. We want to be planed out like that. We don't want any of this in our body position. Okay. So once we get a good body position, part of that too is the kick. Kicking is important for a couple reasons. It's not important that you kick well on the kickboard, but it's important because it's a grounding mechanism in the water. You're like, what the heck is a grounding mechanism? Okay, let's take a land sport. If I'm going to hit a tennis ball, then I'm going to drive it down that arm, okay? And a lot of it's my core coming through the arm, okay? I just smashed the ball. Woo! It's good. All right, then I got no harness. Somebody lifted me off the ground after we did the same shot. I couldn't hit it because I'm not grounded in the earth. So in the water, this mechanism allows you to rotate that core on the horizontal axis. This hip is connected to this hip to the shoulder, the shoulder, the shoulder, the shoulder, this hip. Very, very important that we have this. When you single side breathe, you have this. Side, flat. Side, flat. So we have these wonderful people who are a blank slate, to teach them how to swim correctly from the beginning. That's when I get phone calls and people be like, just so embarrassed, like, oh hell, I don't know how to swim. I'm like, fantastic! They're like, what? What? I'm like, I'll teach you right from the beginning. You don't come with any bad habits, It's really kind of refreshing. We'll learn right from the beginning. All right, so we've got a good kick. Now, what is a good kick? A good kick comes from hip flexors up in here. These quads are involved back here. These muscles. And it's more of it's a whole leg action. Now, sometimes, and adults are really good. They'll follow the instructions to the T. So you'll get some people who are kicking like this. And there's nothing going on here at the ankle. The ankles are very, very important in swimming. So you can, when your leg goes down, your foot will go down. When your leg goes up, your foot will go up. I've got one ankle that works and one that doesn't. So I'm just doing it with the good one. Okay? So you can have them practice on land. You can have them put their hands under their rear end, and they can watch. That right goes time. It's not as good as the left. Okay? Leg goes down, foot goes down. And so it's the same thing, but on your belly. Okay? Very, very important ankle flexibility. Okay? And kicking from up here, not doing like this. That is not flutter kicking. And that's hard. Adult bodies, that's a hard concept to get. And it just takes a lot of patience to work on that. You know, like if they're kicking on a kickboard, where they might be kicking on the wall, and you can get where their legs are. You can put your hands like under their knees. If you're bending their knees and make them straighten it out. If they're kicking too big, you just come down here and put your hands down here. You only want to kick about as big from the front of your thigh to the back of your rear end. That's about, what, 16 inches maybe or so, whatever that is. Once you start kicking out of your body line, your own personal body line, then you start adding drag and you slow down. So, and it's to be steady. It doesn't have to be ferocious, but it should be this. When you start doing this or dragging your legs, your body flattens out, you lose power, you increase drag, and you increase the number of strokes for like bad news. When you kick steady and ground yourself well, you decrease strokes, you decrease drag slightly, a body this way on the side is a little less dragging than this way, and you add power to when you catch, and you start to move your hip. Okay, because when you catch that, you're actually moving your body past your hand, and your stroke length should be your wingspan. So if I put my hand in here, I'm going to end up hopefully over here. It takes me like 11 to go down there, 11 pulls. If I do just a regular pull out, you know, push off or whatever. So a stroke count for you personally might be something to work on. And I'll try to throw in some jabs for you guys too along the way. So, okay, breathing. Once we get the breathing, and once we get the kicking, and we talk kicking, you know, bracket kicking on the wall, you can put one hand here, one in the gutter, you can push and get your feet up, and then you kick. You can add kicking and blowing bubbles. You know, that's kind of, you don't have to worry about the arms till later. We have to get body position and kicking, and then we can start thinking about what the heck do our arms do, how we go to swim. Okay, so there's a little progression, standing in the blowing bubbles, teaching people to float and to stand up. You know what? When somebody gets this way in the water and if they can't stand up, they panic, and they're just going to start doing this. Always encourage your athletes to be gentle with the water, to move slowly in the water. All movements in the water should be slow. You can teach them how to feel the water a little bit. Take their hands and make it really stiff here. Kind of go back and forth like that so they feel tension on their hands and on the water. That would be a good thing to do. So once we bracket kick, once we can kick a little bit, maybe we can kick forward and blow some bubbles. Then it's time, the big step is kicking on their side, okay? Because here's where the building blocks really kind of take off. So, and we're going to do all these drills with you guys in the water. So, what we're going to do, when you teach them to kick on their side, and you know what, it's always good if you can demonstrate, and if you cannot, find somebody in the group that can, okay? You're going to lay in the water, arm extended. You want to make sure you're in a straight line from the tip of your finger to the tip of your toe. You don't want your legs back here. You don't want to be like this. You have to get your box on its side, okay? You have to have the ear to the arm. What would happen if my head was up? The hips would sink. Okay, I'd be like that in the water. I want to be like this, and I'm going to kick this way. Kick sideways, okay, and I'm going to move down the pool. Now, where's the water and your face? What's that relationship? The water should come right here. Your head should stay still. I saw some people earlier, like putting their face in, face out, face in, face out. I want the face out for a specific reason in terms of teaching somebody how to swim. So the water will go here. The coaching points are palm down. A lot of people will be like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. Palm down, ear to arm. Making sure the box is on its side. You don't want a shoulder, you don't want your hips going this way. You know, it's not so bad if they're a little bit more towards their back. That's not so bad, as long as their ear's on their arm. But as much as you can get, just on your side is desirable, okay? So you learn how to kick on both sides, okay? Oh, once they do that, this is where it really gets cool. Okay, so we're kicking on our side. So then, I have to tell you this really quick story. I was on crutches still. I went out to lunch with some friends. We went to Finn's, and it was like opening. It was an opening at Finn's in the bathroom. So I'm like, so I crutches in the bathroom. I can't get the door, you know? So I'm like, all right, then I back into it. I'm like, I know where the power's at. So I go, whoa, I go, whoa! And I just fell on the floor. Crutches everywhere. It's kind of in the corner. If you've ever been there, you're kind of out of the way. So I land on the floor and I'm like, ow! And then I'm like, okay, how do I get up? And I'm like looking around. And then all of a sudden I notice, these floors are really clean. I have to tell Jim, the owner, that is just really clean bathrooms. So I really appreciate it. Now I'm sprawled and I'm grasping for things, crawling and stuff. So I get into like the handicap place in the toilet and it's not working out for me. So I end up rolling over and kind of doing the working thing. And then end up getting like, like this. And I said, here it goes. I pushed really hard and I stood up. It's like, whoa! It's like a pop-up thing. And then, I went out of the bathroom, but that was kind of funny. I don't know why I told this story, but it's still pretty funny. Swimming, talk about swimming. Okay, so now we're at the part where we go 1, 2, 3, breathe. And this is where they start to get excited. This is where they start to understand, I'm going to be able to swim. Okay? And so they push off the roll and they go 1, 2, 3. Get on their side, hold that count for count 3. And make sure they roll back into the water and they're looking ahead. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now those are the ideal steps. You're going to have some people who kind of fall in between. And one thing I found that's very, very cool, maybe just before you do 1, 2, 3, breathe, make sure definitely side kick is really strong. But you might want to have them do a little bit of swimming where they're just blowing bubbles and they're not worried about breathing. And sometimes I do what I call like touch swimming. Like my hands are out there, and so, here, you can be the teacher. You're going to be the teacher, I'm going to be the student. So come up here, hold your hands like that. So here I am with the swimmer, and I'm just going to do this, and we're going to actually be moving, but the fact that I've got my hand, I know I'm going to be okay. I know I'm going to be okay. So we just hand swim. And I don't even worry about breathing, okay? Touch these people because they have to learn to trust you and they have to learn to trust the water. Make sure you tell them what you're going to do and what kind of the goal is of what you're going to do. Okay? Be as specific as you can be with your language and describing what to do. One time I was out coaching before the ultra swim, and I had these little kids, 11, 12, and we were getting ready for the state meet, and I was like, put your head down and go. When you get to the flag, put your head down and go. And this very famous coach was standing there watching me. He looked over me, and he's really quite got that coach. Do you mind if I talk to you about something? I was like, no. You know, I was like, in my phone, I'm like, no, that's so talking. Oh gosh, it's bad. And he goes, did you really mean for them to put their heads down and go? And I'm like, oh, no, I did not. And they started to hold their breath at the flag and charge. And he goes, well, then, that's what you need to tell them to do. So make your language as pointed as possible. You know, come up with the best cues that you can think of. You know, with the side kick, when people have their ear up, I tell them I don't want to be able to put a cheese wedge between their ear and their arm. Okay? Ear to arm, that's very tactile sensation. You can feel your ear on your arm. So you know if you're doing it or not. And if you don't, the coach will be like, ear to arm! They'll yell at you. They'll point at you. One thing that I think that we need to do from henceforth is everybody needs their name on their cap. Because even today, when I'm like, and when we're both sitting there trying to correct things, trying to, yell at you, it'd be nice if we could yell your name. So, unless we had 6 Jennifers in the group, because I had a group one time, Bronze team, 6 Jennifers, and I yelled, Jennifer! And of them would stand up, Coach Pat. You know, the whole workout would come to a screeching halt because like 10 other kids crashed into them. So then I started calling them by their last name. Now we're getting better. So that's how we get somebody to be a swimmer from a non-swimmer. We teach them to blow bubbles. Well, prior to that, we teach them the water is an okay place to be. We teach them trust of us as an instructor. We teach trust in the water. When we go to the bubble blowing, we make sure they know how to stand up. And then for the bubble blowing, the side kick, it's really not brain surgery. It's a very step-by-step process, and then 1, 2, 3, breathe. And then getting better at swimming is a matter of practicing it. And then you as a coach recognizing what is going on that is not what you want. Like when they're breathing, watch when they turn to the side. What is going on? Can you see the connection to where they're blowing out and they're blowing in? Because remember, the air is always moving, it's never sitting. You know, if your athlete stands up or they complain that they have dripping in the back of their throat, anybody ever had that before? It's because they're not blowing out their nose. When you're teaching bubbles, remember to tell them the air comes out both places. If you only blow out your mouth, the pressure decreases here, the water goes flying up your nose, and it'll go down the back of your throat. So if they're coughing, or you see your athlete stands up, the water just drips out of their nose. And they're not going to know that's bad. If the water dripping in their throat, they're going to be a swimmer, they're going to think that's okay. But you're going to see it. They may cough a little bit, they may look a little distressed. So ask them, what's going on? What are you feeling? Have them give you some feedback what's going on with them. The whole thing, though, is breathing. Making sure, like, when we swim, we look probably like Frankenstein underwater. It's like, you have to open that mouth. Getting the air out is way harder than it going in. Okay? And like I said before, they're going to want to hoard it. And they won't blow it all out, and then they'll turn to the side, and you'll watch them. You can either hear it and or see it. Like that. You do that too many times, you're going to hyperventilate. It's got to be maximal breath in and squish it out. I bet if we videotaped our lungs, it's pretty violent. But it's what's really good for us. That's what makes swimming really good for you, is how you exercise those lungs. Okay? Alright, so, let's see, I think that's my dissertation on that first sheet. Alright, so as far as you're going to get all these, and they'll probably be on the website, or maybe they can email them to you. I don't know. And a lot of this stuff, you know, it's suggestions. Like, especially when it comes to the workouts, you might have a group that, you know, this workout, we're not quite ready for the next step. Just make sure you don't want to be stagnant. Like, if your group is kind of stuck, maybe just give them a glimpse of what's to come. Or sometimes when your group gets stuck, it is good to just try something totally new. Like, if you're getting a little stuck on bubbles, go to back float. Go to back float. You know what? You kind of want them to leave every day feeling like, well, I got a little bit better, and look what I'm going to learn next. Give them a reason to come back. And always be very, very positive. I mean, well, why else would you be? You're going to be positive, but just reinforce that. Team bubble, we always used to do a cheer before we left, you know, to put ourselves in a good mood before we left. All the other levels were kind of looking at us like we were crazy, but we had a good time. So you have these drill sheets here with some suggestions on and who it's used for, the levels primarily used for. There's some more advanced drills in there. There's some suggestions on the back and whatnot. Teach them some skills on their back too, like I mentioned before. We would teach what I call finning. All finning is a light flutter kick, and you take your hands, you turn your palm out, and you just lay on your back, just light, like this. This is one skill, and you move. You actually move. You're kicking. Teach them to kick on their back. They're going to love their back because the air is available all the time. I can have as much as I want when I want it. Which you can on your front. You know? That's what makes the front a little bit harder. But we would call finning. Okay, a little bit of finning. We'll also teach zipper, or some people say chicken. We go T, or some people say
plane.
What?
Plane.
Plane. But there's something. Oh, T. I said T. You might be praying for them. That's one thing that might happen along the way. And then squeeze. And it's real important. We watched the first grade, some people were going like this. It's cute, but it's not going to gain you the efficiency we're looking for. We're looking for, like if somebody gets distressed going freestyle, we want them to be able to continue their journey and not stop, get on their back, get their act together, and still be moving. So when you come out here to your plane or your team, you want to be very straight. You want to make, these are like oars on a boat now. You squeeze. And you'll move, man. I can get in there and go about 9 feet when I do this. It's like a little squid. It's awesome. You could teach this. This is kind of complicated. And sometimes we probably don't have time to do that. I would suggest also trying to teach your athletes to tread water. Because they'll get in the deep end, maybe in the triathlon, and freak out. That's one thing I really like about being at MAC. We have the option of going deep. Like we could go halfway and back, but we could also go deeper because it is scary to the novice swimmer. You know, you're like, whoa, that bottom's way, I can't touch down there. Whoa. And you know, it doesn't matter if you're 2 feet of water or 20 feet of water, you can swim. But there's psychological things going on. I can remember doing my first open water swim, you know, Joe Pro swimmer, out of college, 22 years old. This guy basically said, will you be on my team? I'll fly to Florida to go swim in this triathlon. That seems like a cool deal. I want to go do that, you know? So I went down to Panama City. Oh my God, I about had a heart attack. I mean, I felt, but if they know that they're good. So we need to teach the ladies how to tread somewhere in the lesson. And that's kind of one of those things too, where if you feel like you're getting stuck a little bit or you finish the lesson a little bit early, well, let's go learn to tread. But you know, it'd be great if they fell in a body of water that they know that they can pump, they can tread, they can think about what to do. The biggest thing is stay calm, like those British signs. Stay calm in the water. All right, so I think that's kind of a gentle overview of the sheets. If you guys have any questions before we get in the water, because once we get you in there, self-bilateral breathing, nothing wrong with that. All right, so the first thing I want you guys to do, we're going to kick. I want you to kick on your left, with your left arm extended so you'll face this wall. That way Mary and I can counsel you about your body position and your kicking. And we're going to have to point and, you know, do our hand signals and all that stuff. And always remember that being able to demonstrate something or find a demonstrator is the best way to teach. I mean, I can stand here and do all this. When I coach masters, I usually carry a camera with me so I can show the people what they're doing and kind of describe what I want. If I see what I want, I film that too, and I say, you're doing this, and they get to watch. And then it's like, this is what I want, and they get to watch besides me up there contorting and, you know, hoping that I, you know, get the message across. All right, so we're kicking ear to arm, the lead arm, palm down, get your box on its side. We want to see you kicking with your whole leg. Okay, does that make sense? Does everybody know what I'm looking for? You're facing our way, yes. All right, and when the person in front of you gets to the glass, then you get to go, okay? So we're going to side kick down, swim freestyle back, all easy. Ready, go! Yeah, there we go. Keep your whole leg. It's in the way. Get on your side. The other thing that we typically see, well, that was it. It was the shoulder rolled over, the head is up, and just relax this hand. Don't have this hand like doing this. Don't let it have it up like this. Have it relaxed at your side. And usually people have a preferred side for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't explain it. One side is a little more talented than the other side. We're going to try the other side now. So your lead arm will be your right arm. And the terminology is LSK and RSK. Left side kick. Like when you look at these workouts, man, just think real simple. I'm real simple. SW is swim. CH is choice. I try to keep them very simple. I'll give you a key. Every once in a while, I'll slide one in there if it's not on the key. So you might want to just shoot me an email or get one of the mentors, the lead guys, or bug me or whatever. You know, I need to revamp some of these things a little bit. But think really simple. BK is back. You're on your back. Just real simple and good. Okay, so our lead arm will be our right arm. You're staring at this mirror. You're staring at the camera. Make sure you smile like you're having fun. Can you just say that about the shoulder again? Yes. Yes. Very, very important. Your core needs to be on its side. And you know what? It might not be a bad idea. It depends where you're teaching to have them all practice on land first. You know, like I was laying down on the ground over there. And have everybody feel their ear to their arm. Have them notice that if they're on the correct position on their side, they can't see their shoulder. If you have a twisted box, you're going to see the shoulder. You're going to start drinking. It's going to be very uncomfortable. You literally are floating on your side and you've had a kick. That's all we're doing. So make sure the box is always connected. Like the shoulders don't move independently of the hips when you swim. And vice versa. It's always connected. We're swimming like this, okay? All right, so let's go ahead. Right arm lead. We're staring at the camera. We're staring at Mary. Right arm lead and swim coming back. And if you're not a bilateral breather, meaning breathing to both sides, I want you to try it a little bit. Here we go. Every third stroke. Ready to go? Here to arm. Beautiful. Good. Calm down. This side kick is very important for athletes learning to swim. Kick with your whole leg. Ear to arm, ear to arm, ear to arm, more.
Good job. Keep that arm long. Good. Perfect. Keep that ear on there.
Your whole leg. Ear to arm. Good. Keep going, ladies. Got to kick.
Good job, ladies.
It's very important that you look for these ladies to make sure they are body breathing and they're not just trying to turn their neck. You cannot, the human physiology, you're not going to be able to, unless you open your body, you're not going to be able to get a breath. You're not like Linda Blair in The Exorcist and your head spins around at the drum for 360. You can't do that. You're going to have to open your body to breathe. Now, that side kicking is so important. Make sure that building block is solid. Then we move from this side kick to 1, 2, 3 breathe stroke. And this is when your swimmer will believe, I am going to learn to swim. And the other thing you got to keep preaching is patience and time. And we're going to help them get through their 250 yards. But it's a skill that you really have to practice. I mean, swimming is a bear. To stay swim, I call it swim fit. I get these ladies that can run 330 Bostons and get in the pool can only do like 75 yards of swimming. I mean, that does not translate. 3:30 Boston, 75. And that's how difficult it is and how strange it is for humans to be in the water. Okay, so our next drill we're going to do is a 1, 2, 3 breathe stroke. So you're going to push off the wall. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. You're going to turn up. You're going to get on your side in the side kick position. Okay, really tall. You want to swim tall. You don't ever want to swim all like a, you know, when you put water on a spider, you want this like nice looking spider, and then you drop a thing of water on it. You don't want to swim like that. You want to swim very tall. So I'm hanging out here. Your athlete can kind of cheat on their breaths and whatnot. Then they get a big breath, and they very gently roll into the water. No lifting. You don't want to go like this. You want to go like that. Roll, get a big breath. Roll. 1, 2, 3. On your side. Hang out for a count of 5. See, you've learned to manage your air. You've learned to kick. You've learned to kick in the breathing sweet spot. So now we're putting it all together. This is the woo limit, the aha. This is where it all comes together. So I want all of you to do the 1, 2, 3 breathe stroke down. And I want everybody in here bilateral breathing on the way back. Now, for new swimmers too, like this will teach people when to breathe. If you see somebody breathing like this, it's too late. They're either not blowing out all their air, or it's just that they're so new. It's kind of an afterthought. You know you're going to breathe. And it's going to be every third stroke. When number 3 starts going out, the third arm, you're going to start turning your body as the arm is going out there. Sometimes people, they'll wait till it's here, and then they turn, and they're already like pulling. So there's a moment in time in this rhythm of how the exhalation and how the 1, 2, 3 work together. And this drill binds it together. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, breathe. And then for somebody like, social demonstrator, watch. 1, 2, 3. Time out. I want you both to go slower, and I want you to hang out. And I don't want you to go 1, 2, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to see you keep on your side, particularly, and go your next cycle. Here we go. Ready to go? Sometimes when you're speedy, it's hard to do this stuff slow.
Good.
All right, everybody, good to go. Good. Hang out on your side. You guys are like, there we go. I think there are about 4 of you in here. What do you guys think about that? Any feedback on that? Good, bad, horrible? You see where? Needs a lot of work. Yeah, how are you doing? Yes, it's really about, like, someone like in your shoes, it's the exhalation rate. And you got to make sure you've got X volume that you take in every time. Like if I was trying to swim a 25 seconds in a 50 breathe and a 40 seconds in a 50 breathe, the volume I inhale is not going to change. It's the rate that I exhale it. So you're right. Swimming is all about rhythm and getting everything to work together. But you can see how that leads to bilateral breathing, right? So, all right, I thought it was really good. I thought we could spend a little bit more time on our side, because that's real important, that you take that time. And your athletes are going to need that time, because learning to breathe just doesn't stop like the day they master it when they're standing vertically, or even when they kick and blow. It's going to be a 12-week learning process, refining process, learning the rhythms. How do I get that air out? And watch them, and talk to them about their mouth being open underwater like this. Because a lot of them will try to get like blowing it through a straw. You can't get the air out. These little nostrils, little hole, make it a big hole.
floor,
And you gotta
look
get
at here,
it
she can
out.
find somebody to
You
cover
gotta
to you
get
right
it
there.
out. It's so easy to get it in.
Absolutely.
Get it out. I always tell people it's like a crescendo in music. Okay, in music, crescendo usually starts softly and gets loud. In your cycle of 1, 2, 3, you initially blow not so forcefully, blow really forcefully towards 2, blow 3, you gotta get rid of it. So when your mouth comes out, it's kind of like, oh, and then there's this inhalation. It's like this swinging, it's like this pendulum that never stops. There's no hitch in it. You know, if there's a hitch, you hold your breath, get out of rhythm. Okay? It's gotta go like this. And it's kind of like an orchestra. You know, everything is, and it's, you gotta get it in, but you gotta force it out. All right, I would like to do 1, 2, 3, breathe down again, and come back. Let's see if your rhythm's a little bit better. Change the rate a little bit. Okay.
1, 2, 3 down and freestyle.
Almost. You can learn to face that. Do you know now what you're doing? Like you can feel it? Good. That's part of learning how to do it the other way. Is knowing that you're not doing it. You know? But this next drill, I think will help too. If you start incorporating these in your workout, you'll be able to reinforce the good habit of send out on the pattern. Okay? That's much better. We were more patient. We were on our side. For Pete's sake, those people learn how to do that side kick, you got to use it. So there you go. Now, a variation of that would be to go just one arm. And realize for some people, I mean, they're not all blessed with coordination. And it's kind of hard. Some of the things we ask people to do, I call them silly human tricks. And I have a few more to pull out of my pocket for you guys. The first one is going to be one arm swimming. I want you to hold your left arm out in front of you, and you're going to pull. Make sure you're not ever flat when you're pulling. And you're going to pull and go on your side every other stroke. So I'm going to kick on my side. I'm going to just do it unilaterally.